and we are gonna see the lights, camera, action, and they are off. Wesley opening with his trademark king's pawn, and Sam responding with a French defense.
Yeah, this is an opening setup that I play that Sam is doing here. We have a version of what's called the classical French defense, one of the oldest variations of the French. White builds up this big center. Look at White's pawns, they're very strong there, but Black has this counter-attacking chances on the queen side. That little pawn move is trying to gain more space. We should also note the heart rate. Sam is nearly half the heart rate of Wesley so far in this game.
Yeah, Wesley did actually admit to having some first day nerves. That's why he said that he lost to Gukesh. But there on the right, you can also track the advantage of the player by just looking at the dashboard background. If one color dominates, it means that that color is winning. Oh, and Wesley's heart rate going up to 154. That's high.
That is really high, and it's creeping up even higher now. Clearly feeling the nerves a bit today, Wesley. It is a really scary situation, being thrown into this arena like two gladiators of the mind here, and they've got to fight to the death, because if they lose, they're going home. The battle here, though, on the chessboard is all about White's center. Can White maintain those free pawns, or can Black chip away at them by attacking them, by breaking them down, getting counter-attacking chances? So this is really a counter-attacking opening that Sam's played. He castles his king. Wesley also castles his king now. Pretty standard stuff so far.
Yeah, and it's very good stuff from Wesley. Just getting the king to safety, and I like this move by Sam Shankland. He seems to be very much in his preparation, although the clock time doesn't quite indicate that, because he just bashed out this F-pawn move.
Yeah, this is a standard concept in this position, this opening. The idea of that last move from Black is to blunt White's light square bishop. You see that light square bishop of White's? It's now blunted. So Wesley takes en passant. This is a very special move. It's called capture in passing. You capture the pawn as if it moved one square. And I remember trying to learn that rule as a beginner. I really struggled. Luckily, I've mastered it now. And now Sam must decide how to capture back. He'd like to take with a knight, but this maybe involves a pawn. Oh no, can you take on c5? I don't think you can here. Oh, maybe you can.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can, and that's why Wesley tucks his king into the corner. He's getting ready to capture that pawn in the middle. There are some tactical tricks involving the light squared bishop.
Yeah, and the other idea of king to the corner is that if Black moves his knight to attack a bishop, the bishop has a retreat square, trying to keep the center under control. And again, every time the pawn structure changes, we should reassess the position. And in that position, Black has a worse pawn structure because he's got a backwards pawn, but he's now advancing, and he has an advantage on the queen side there. And here he goes, pushing forwards. Very dynamic play from Sam. I really like what he's doing here.
Sam means business, and there we see a trade of pawns, and now the bishop just comes in and starts eyeing up the white queen. Black is potentially threatening to jump the knight into the center, getting ready for a potential attack.
I quite like Sam's position. This move that Ivanka just mentioned is a really nice idea. The Black Knight getting ready to come in. The only problem when you play this opening is Black, the French defense, is your light square bishop. But that can act like a snake here. It can snake its way around. Instead, look at that, a powerful move. The knight jumping straight in. And this is what Sam needs to do. He needs to play aggressively to have a chance against the fantastic Wesley So here. And Wesley's now got some issues to solve.
Yeah, and that is why he retreats his bishop. He wants to keep the integrity of his pawn structure intact. And well, Sam, without hesitation, swaps the knight in the middle for that bishop.
I'm a little bit surprised by that. I thought that knight was really strong. He didn't need to do that straight away, but if he can get that bishop, the other bishop around, he'd be doing well. It's very much in the balance here. They spent half their time each here, and that heart rate, Ivanka, he must be nervous in this game.
Yeah, he certainly must be feeling the jitters, and I like Sam's last move, just getting ready to remaneuver the knight to a more aggressive post to attack the queen. And now Wesley puts his knight into the middle. This is so tense, this game. I mean, White has the advantage of that big, strong square in the middle, but Sam is just maneuvering his pieces to better squares.
Yep, Sam playing quite confidently, but Wesley also building up a bit of pressure. Now it's Wesley who I think has the better knight. Look at White's knight in the middle. That's a lovely piece there. So Sam is trying to exchange that knight off. Always a good idea. Look at your opponent's best pieces. Aim to get rid of them. I like this concept. And Wesley just securing his pawn structure there. Very even at this moment in time.
It is very even at this point, but I can see some potential vulnerabilities in Wesley's position, especially that knight that is stranded on the edge of the board. It's being attacked by the bishop, only defended by the rook. That makes it tactically weak.
Sam having a bit of a think here, and he does eliminate that knight. I like that decision. I approve. It was so strong, that knight. But he's got to find a good idea here. Can he push his pawn forwards? He's eliminating the other knight. So Sam trying to exchange off Wesley's good pieces.
And he does it right now there, Simon. This is what I was gunning for. Explosion on the board.
Boom! You've got to do the sound effect there, Ivanka. Can we hear a boom, Ivanka?
Absolutely. Boom. Or
like
boom, boom, bang.
Boom, boom, bang. That's how aggressive that move was. And Sam really going for it on the king side here. He moves his king out of the way to try and get some attack on the open lines there. But he's also playing very risky chess because his own king is exposed in this position. The black queen comes out to attack White's pawn. Black is now threatening to win a pawn here. And again, very, very close position. Keep an eye on the clock.
Yeah, it's not just the clock as well that you have to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on Black's king there on the corner. Doesn't have any pawn cover. This makes it vulnerable. And we can see Sam, he's calculating furiously, and he just moves in with the knight, attacking the rook. And suddenly we see a trade. But still, it's all going to be about king safety.
I really like what Sam's done there. Even though the evaluation bar, the bar on the right-hand side is going up in Wesley's favour, and Wesley has a 15-second advantage. Can Sam... Oh, I like this. He's playing so aggressively, Sam. Is it going to work, though? Obviously, aggressive play can also backfire. Wesley's just taking all of those pawns.
Yeah, and this is why Wesley was really sneaky with retreating that bishop to that particular square, because he can block any potential check by sliding that bishop backwards. That's what he has to do.
And did you see his face there, Ivanka?
Yeah.
Sam did a bit of a grimace there, and that was not a good sign. Sam trying to keep the queens on the board, but we get to an ending, the last part of the game.
And this is a blunder, I think, from Wesley.
Oh, wow. He's got to check. Look at the heart rate. Wesley's heart rate, 171. Realizing he's made a mistake here. And you can lose. You take the queen. You play c3. Sam can win this game. This is a massive blunder. c3, a4. It's winning. Black is going to queen a pawn here.
And yeah, absolutely. What a turnaround. Wow. Incredible stuff. Wesley making a huge blunder, and well, he tries to get a pass pawn, but the king will just chase down that pawn. And now here it comes. Look to the right. One of those two black pawns are going to become a queen.
This is the killer move here. What you need to do in the ending is get a pawn to the other end of the board, and look at that pawn on the left-hand side. It's coming to touchdown. Is it going to touch down? Touchdown is coming very shortly. White is also pushing his pawns. Who's going to be quicker here? It looks like Black, and Wesley has resigned. So Sam needs to try and keep things under control in this game with the white pieces. This is a key thing to do, because if Sam doesn't make any mistakes, he will draw the game. And we have what we call a Queen's Gambit on the board, and this bishop flies out. You need to get your knights and your bishops into the game at the start. Slightly peculiar move there. You normally move the knight out first, and Wesley playing the most aggressive option there.
Yeah, and Wesley just saying now is time to roll the dice, and there he captures the pawn in the middle and then challenges the white pawn center.
Yeah, so Wesley is going for a particular type of pawn structure which will give him dynamic chances. And I think this is a very good decision by Wesley, because he's unbalanced stuff, and he needs to do this. He can't go for a similar pawn structure. And Sam, at the moment, simply developing, and he's trying to keep the symmetrical pawn structure. I very much like Sam's decision there. He's not going for the craziest, most attacking line. He doesn't need to. He only needs a draw here.
That's very true, but Wesley needs to find a way just to maintain the dynamism from his pieces. He needs to find a good home for that light squared bishop. And there we can also see Wesley's heart rate at 134, so slightly calmer than before, but still very high.
Sometimes a loss actually makes you calmer because, you know, you've got the nerves out the way. You can just concentrate on the chess. And for those of you watching who get nervous when you play chess, well, you can see here that even the top players do. And that's one great thing about having these monitors on the player. Now, Sam just takes his pawn back, so it's equal on points now. And Wesley develops his bishop. And this does seem to be slightly preferable for white here. You know, if Sam just keeps things under control, he's got a great chance of getting through to the next round.
And there we see Wesley get his king to safety, and he is preparing to push that b pawn 2 squares forward there on the left and attack the bishop.
So Sam now I think he's going for his queen there. I kind of like his, okay, he's just played a very natural move instead, bringing his rook to the open line. It may not look open because there's a knight and bishop in the way, but at some point they will get out the way, and rooks deserve to be on open lines. That bishop's going to change diagonals now. It's going to try to come around and hit the rook, and this might mean more exchanges. I like this move from Wesley. He gets the rook out of the way, and he's trying to centralize that rook, but I must say, I do prefer White's position. White's got more pieces in the game here.
Yeah, and there we can see a nice move from Sam, getting his queen out of the way, connecting the 2 rooks. The rooks will now start centralizing, and oh, we just saw the evaluation bar just shoot up in White's favor. What is wrong with that move?
I don't know if there's anything necessarily wrong with what Wesley played there. Maybe there was, but I mean, it just seems like Black's pieces are more clumsy. They kind of haven't got as much space to breathe at the moment. Wesley, though, bringing one of his rooks to the open line, preparing for battle in the center. And at some point, Sam will have to do something. He's got his pieces to the best squares. I think it's now time to, you know, do something proactive here. And he plays... well, okay, a quiet move to start with. Yeah,
just controlling the squares of the black queen. And Wesley has to find a way to get his pieces connected. I mean, okay, now he's doubling on the D line. Next move is going to be moving that bishop to the long diagonal. And what is Sam going to play? Is he also going to improve his bishop? No, he steps back with his bishop, getting ready to also relocate it to a better diagonal.
There is a danger, of course, that when you have, you only need a draw and you have that advantage, you play a little bit too passively. And this is something that Sam's got to avoid doing in this middle part of the game, the middle game. You don't want to let Wesley take over control. And Wesley just moving his king, that's quite a strange move there. Putting the king in the middle, which would be good in the ending, but we're nowhere near the ending yet. And Sam aiming for more exchanges. Good concept. Get the pieces off the board, get nearer to the draw to get you through to the next round.
And there we see Sam utilizing that concept of exchanges and now offering a rook trade. Now those rooks have left the board and another set of rooks. This is not great news for Wesley, who now has to nurture this endgame into a win. Remember, Wesley is in a must-win situation, and Sam's position, it's rock solid. And big threat of the bishop capturing the knight, so that's why Wesley did move that knight.
Yeah, so Sam has to now just try to use the center of the board. It's an equal position, so Wesley still has chances. The queens remain on the board. That gives him dynamic play, and I feel the clock's going to be important here because they're getting down to that under minute stage, and that's where it gets really exciting. I love it when it gets to this stage. It's quick, it's furious. The queen centralizing itself there, and that looks like a good move to me.
It is a good move in principle, but I would be a little bit concerned about the white king. The white king is trapped there on the bottom row, and Wesley offering a trade of queens. Now, I would actually advocate not to capture that queen because the only one that benefits from that trade is going to be black. The black knight gets himself to a better circuit.
Yeah, and Sam, you can see by his body language, he's sitting up really erect at the board there. He looks very confident. He's just got to keep Wesley's pieces out. But if you look at the pawns on the left-hand side, what squares are they on? Well, white's pawns are on dark squares and black's pawns are on light squares. Who does that favour? Well, they've both got dark square bishops, so only white's pawns can be attacked by the bishops. It's little small factors like this which make a world of difference, and this is why I'd slightly prefer to beat Wesley in this position.
Yeah, I would also agree with that as well, because, you know, when you look at the power of the bishops, well, it's going to be Wesley that has some targets. And there we see Sam doing some good stuff. He's centralizing the king. Remember, in endgame, it's all about the teamwork, making the dream work. Cliche, but true.
And a check there from Sam. Sam taking control so far of this ending. It's equal. Look at the time. Wesley under 20 seconds here. He's trying to find a way to get any chances here. He moves the knight back, attacking Sam's bishop. Will that bishop retreat all the way? It does. And maybe now Wesley's got to try to come forwards at some point. He comes in with a check. And what's he going to do next? He moves his king to the center. King is a great piece in the ending.
And there we see Sam just advancing the pawn, attacking the knight. Knight retreats, and Sam just moving his bishop forward. I'm expecting Wesley to first of all improve his knight, or maybe even just start pushing some pawns to grab space there on the right side of the board.
5 seconds though. He's got to move. He exchanges his bishop for the knight. Quite a strange decision, but he's
trapping the bishop potentially.
He is. Look at White's bishop. White's bishop is now in its opponent's half the board, but it can't escape. It's actually trapped there, as Ivanka points out.
And that's why Sam just goes on a rescue mission to get that bishop out. And at the same time, trading a few pawns. This is good news for Sam. It's looking like he's got very good chances of holding this game.
But this is where you're going to get mistakes at this part of the game when you've got no time left. Sam is doing great here. If anything, Sam is a little bit better now because the bishop is a better piece and his king now moves towards the center. But knights are so tricky. They can jump around. Nay. That was my little jumpy noise. And attack things. And there you go, that knight jumping around. Can we have a nay from you, Ivanka?
All I say is that knights are crafty. And there's often said that when you don't have so much time on the clock, they're actually better than bishops because they move in all kind of directions. They just jump around. And there you go again. It's given a check to the king. And now Wesley's king is making a dash for the right side of the board. And wow, this looks terminal for white.
Oh my words, Wesley has turned it on its head. He's got his king into the position. He's won a pawn. This is great news for Wesley. He might be making it an Armageddon game. Is there any chance for Sam here? He's got a pawn down. He went a little bit too passive here. It looks so bad now, and I think Wesley's gonna do this one.
It certainly looks that way. And now the king is coming in to grab that pawn. Oh, and there we see Sam with 15 seconds left on the clock. And there you go. He's going 2 pawns down and the handshake. And Wesley winning with the black pieces on demand. Wow. Unbelievable stuff in the closing seconds of that game.
And they are off. And we've seen this so many times before, especially yesterday. Oh, a bit of a surprising move there. This is called the cowboy move, a bit of B3, only played by cowboys. Apparently.
It is only played by cowboys, but I can tell you one thing. Sam Shankland has done some opening courses and he deals with this, and he actually recommends the system that he's playing and doing a very flashy castling there with his hands. And he was very adamant that you had to delay this development of the knight. And Wesley preparing to break through in the center. But Sam, look at that. He's rattling out the moves. He knows exactly what he needs to do. And yep, his course says it's all about taking space on the left side of the board. And Wesley now under some pressure.
So the time really is so important, more important in Armageddon because you don't get that added time. Yesterday, it really came down to that. Who had the less time? When you get under a minute, that's when you have to turbocharge your arm up. Wind it up and start playing the moves quickly. Now, the position so far, I like this idea from Wesley. He's targeting a pawn with that knight. and Sam's got to decide how to save a pawn here. So a nice little idea there from Wesley.
It's certainly a nice idea, and did we see some emotional gestures there from Sam? He looked a bit upset, like he'd overlooked something.
No, he's made a mistake here. Bishop f6, look at the evaluation bar. This looks like a good move, but knight c4 is a real problem for Sam, because now his queen has to go to an uncomfortable square. Bishop a3, something like this. Okay, you can play knight b4, but this is really, really looking so dodgy. Even pawn takes pawn here, Jovanka. If Wesley can concentrate, he's got a great chance to progress.
Pawn takes pawn is the killer, right? You're attacking the knight. You don't need to worry about your own knight in the center when you can counterattack. And there we see Wesley's heart rate 156 and Sam shaking his head. He completely forgot about this little intermediate move.
Yeah, this is heartbreaking for Sam. He won that first game in brilliant style, and now he's in a lot of trouble here. He's just too many pawns down, and he's going to need some good fortune to get some chances in this game. Can Wesley hold it together? He just needs to hold the position, not make any mistakes. There is still a problem with his knight in the middle. If it's Black's move, Black will go bishop takes knight and win a piece. So it's very complicated still. The pieces all remain on the board, so it's not over by any means. He just retreats his knight.
That's a nice move from Wesley. And you're right there. We must not forget the impact of the clock in Armageddon. We saw it in yesterday's game that, it was all about the clock. It didn't really matter so much about the position. And if Sam can just remain alive, keep the game going until the players have got less than a minute, then he still has hope.
Yes, and he's only one pawn down, but there is an issue now. If you look at, oh no, Sam, he can see it on his face, the emotions that he's going through. He might be realizing now that this is his last game in the competition if Wesley plays right, because now the knight jumps in. Look at the bishop in front of White's king. It's pointing at Black's queen and also at the rook there. Oh, I feel for Sam here. He's getting, it's not nice losing like this when you've played so well.
Yeah, he was on the verge of securing this match, but then some panic there in the closing moments of game 2, and now it's just gone all wrong for him in the Armageddon. Material down and less time on the clock. Well, if he wants to stay alive in the competition, if he wants to use his survival skill, it's just about never giving up, don't surrender, and he just moves his bishop.
I think one of the things for Sam, he's a very emotional player. You can see that, and that's good and bad. You can use your emotions to power on through to get in the zone, but when things start to go wrong, it can get you a little bit as well. It's not a bad thing at all in life, but sometimes you have to be emotionless when you're fighting in a match like this. He's still trying though. He's using his pawns on the right hand side. He's trying to make some room over there. He's got to keep fighting here. He moves his knight back. Remember that first game? He turned that game around. He's got to do the same here.
Yeah, and there we see some trade of pawns in the center, and the knights now have posts. So it's still not going to be easy for Wesley, and Wesley moving his knight to attack the queen. And remember, Sam does have draw odds.
He does, and the queen moves in. He is a minute down on the clock. A queen exchange would be bad news to Sam. When your point's down, you need to try and keep as many tricks as you can. So the queen is a very tricky piece, and Sam realizes he needs to keep the queen on the board here, so there might be some tricks for him later on. But in general, Wesley is just so good. He never easily gets tricked here, and he's keeping control, moving his queen over to defend his pawn in the middle of the board there.
And also setting up the threat of pushing that pawn in the middle to attack the rook. Is Wesley going to do that? No, he improves his knight. Oh, the knight is going to jump in towards the right and start eyeing up the black king. And Sam can't even capture the pawn because the two rooks are just facing off against each other.
Very powerful play from Wesley here. Sam uses his other knight. He's trying to create some counterplay on the left-hand side, but look at that pawn. That pawn is 2 squares away from queening. The white queen attacking the black queen, and now Sam is trying to exchange the queens off, figuring this is his only chance. But Wesley has some very tempting moves here, like queen takes pawn is one move, That creates some nasty threats here. Wesley just using a bit of his time. He does grab that pawn, getting nearer to Black's king, and I can't see Black's king easily surviving here. A great move there, and this ensures an ending. There's going to be a knight fork. It looks like Wesley has lost his queen, but the knight comes in with a check. The knight takes the knight. More pieces get exchanged, only in Wesley's favor.
Yeah, and there we see Wesley just double the rooks up, and Sam's knight coming to attack the rook. Sam, just 43 seconds on the clock.
I have to say, I'm still impressed by Sam, because he could have given up. He was getting obviously despondent, but he's really getting everything he can, any chance he can from the position. And I mean, it is a horrible ending. You're lots of points down, but the Black Knights are very dangerous. Can they create any chances?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it is Wesley's knight there delivering a check that forces